I remember I was hanging out at his house and I saw there was a program. It was for a poetry reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember I said, wait a minute, where did you get this? My name wasn't in the program, but I read a poem that day. And he goes, well, don't you remember me? He was there with his ex and they had a fight that day and he spilled coffee everywhere. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't even remember any guy there that
Yeah.
was spilling coffee.
I'm Emily Calloway, and this is Kismet. Kismet is a podcast featuring your true love stories. Today, I'm speaking with Michelle, who is sharing her story about how learning to love herself and invest in her own passions is what led her to her love. Hello, Michelle. Welcome to Kismet. Thank you so much for joining me on this holiday Monday.
Hi, it's great to be here today.
Yeah, I'm thankful that you were able to make time and join me. So to get started, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell my audience a little bit about who you are and your story.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, my name is Michelle Steiner. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband Ron and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. They might be doing an appearance on the show. I am a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm a photographer, and I am a paraeducator. I work in a school with students who have disabilities and some who don't. And I also have a blog where I write about my life with a learning disability and feature my photography on my walks. My story, I knew that I always wanted to be married. There was a lot of things I knew from the time I was really young. I knew that I wanted to be married, and I knew that I wanted to go to college. And I wanted to be a writer, so I had a lot of dreams of things that I wanted to do. And having a learning disability was one of those things that really impacted a lot of my life with that. I can just remember really struggling. I was diagnosed in kindergarten, so it really
Mm-hmm.
changed a lot it guided my life a lot. I really struggled throughout my years in school. I had specialty instruction, I had accommodations, and I struggled to learn, but I also struggled to fit in. It was really difficult for me during those years. As I got through school, it got a lot easier for me academically. I was in all regular ed classes except for math in a resource room by the time I was in high school, and I was doing really well in school. I was making honor roll, my grades were good, everything was going good in academically. Socially, it got a lot harder, and so did dating.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember a lot of the peer groups were more defined at that age, and I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't really feel like I fit in with any of them. And so I started hanging out with some kids that were from a neighboring school district in an arts program. And I found other peers that shared my interests. And dating was also a thing too. I would go to school and I did not have very much luck with a lot of guys. I was picked on, and I thought, well, what is wrong with me? Well, am I ever going to find that person? And am I ever going to date somebody? But it was
Yeah.
hard because I always wondered, okay, is it the disability? Is it me? And it just was not one of those
Yeah.
things.
I do think that, disability or not, like that's such a common
Hmm.
experience in high school, middle school,
Right,
trying to figure out where you belong.
right.
I know for me personally, I'm a redhead. So I also just, growing up, I never quite felt like I fit in. Also,
Hmm.
I was an artist as well. It just was a little
Hmm.
bit different, walked to the beat of my own drums, did not fit in, went to a very small school. And there was like really kind of two cliques, I guess you would
Right.
say. And I floated in between them. I just was like, I don't know where I belong on this weird artist girl. But the artist, that's what's beautiful about being an artist. We accept everyone. We look at, like what makes you unique. And that's what I find the artist community is just so
Hmm.
accepting of everyone's like special talents and that sort of thing. So do you mind sharing what your disability is? Is that something you feel comfortable with?
Sure, I would be happy to. I have dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability.
Hmm.
I have limited hand dexterity in both of my hands that they didn't find out until I was an adult. And I also have visual perception issues, but that affects my brain, not my eyes.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. I
Mhm.
haven't heard of all of those things. So definitely enlightening me, enlightening me somewhat in this conversation. So okay, so you're moving on from high school. You've sort of found your niche with these artists and kind of
Right.
found your place in confidence with them. Before meeting your now husband, I'd love to
Mhm.
just hear a little bit more about sort of your experience dating. If you had long-term relationships, if you
Mhm.
dated around, if you were mostly single, what sort of your experience was.
Right. Well, one of the things that I can also remember back to with the friendship too is I had a writing group that it was really key into finding my
Mhm.
husband, which we'll get to that later. But when I met them, I was right after I was out of the art group and I found a writing group for adults. And that was really a key thing in learning like acceptance. And they encouraged me to write about having a disability. And what I find is amazing is in regards to relationships, 20 some years later, we still meet once a month to talk about our writing and we're in each other's lives.
I love that.
And I had a lot of modeling in that relationship with uh, some other couples on
Mhm.
how to have a good relationship, or okay, maybe some things that could have been better at times too. But it was that modeling of this is what you should be looking for, and that really influenced me in how I did date after high school. I can remember I had a lot of bad relationships. For a while, I didn't find anybody that I really wanted to go, I wanted to be out with. I mean, it just seemed
Mhm.
like, okay, there just wasn't anybody. And then I can remember that I, um, I started to see someone I was friends with whenever I was in school and we got together. And it did not end very well. I can remember when we broke up, he said, I think you could drive if you really wanted to, and I'm tired of taking you
Ooh.
places. So hearing
Ah,
that was really hard. And
yeah.
then I can remember I would meet other people, and some of the stories I guess you can look back on and laugh. I can remember one, there was a person that he was not honest and he was seeing somebody else, and his girlfriend called me afterwards, and thankfully we were cool about that. And she goes, well, thanks for not wanting to beat me up. You can have him if you want him. I'm like, I don't want this person. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the, and just a bunch of really bad things that were happening. And there was also somebody other people that I met that told me straight up they don't want to see me because I had a disability. Other,
Mhm.
other ones wanted to play games, and it just really was just, it was not a great experience for me. So what I just did is I finally just prayed and I said, God, do not send me anybody until it is the right person.
Yeah.
And he was faithful with that. I can remember that is one of those things where yeah, that happened, and that just drove me to that prayer and just everything. And there was so much that was going into meeting my now husband that when we look
Mhm.
back on that, I was like, oh my goodness, I can see all that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, in addition to having that faith and that trust that,
Hmm.
a higher power will provide for you, I think it
Yes.
also is that commitment to yourself too, is to say,
Hmm.
I'm also not going to be involved with someone unless it's the right person. I'm ready for the
Right.
right person, and I'm not going
Hmm.
to settle for the wrong person or someone that doesn't treat me right or has other people that they're playing around with, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's get into your story. So you've been having sort of, not the greatest time dating. You've made sort of this
Hmm.
prayer, asking for the right person to come in
Hmm.
when it's time. And so tell me about the time and how that person did enter your life.
I was walking down the street and I had a red dress on. And my husband saw me walking down the street and he goes, wow, who's that girl in the red dress? Where's she going?
Did he stop you, or was this sort of he just spotted you
He
and
spotted me.
okay.
Yep. Then he found out, oh, we're at the same place. He saw me at the art center that night because he was playing
Uh-huh.
guitar. And he saw me talking to one of my friends, and he's like, "Oh, I know that other girl." He knew some of my other mutual friends that we had
Mhm.
from years ago. And he thought, "Well, that's a nice coincidence that that happened."
Yeah, so
And
he saw you
yeah.
in this red dress and was
Mhm.
like, "Oh my gosh, she's something." And
Yep.
wow, we're at this same arts event. She's
Mhm.
volunteering. I'm doing this open mic thing, and we
Yep.
know some of the same people. And so he wasn't. I remember you saying that he wasn't actually from in town at that point, right? Or he was living somewhere else. It just happened to be that he was in town for that particular night.
He was just at home visiting family for a little bit, and his mom decided that she wanted to, um, come along to the art center the night too. So it was, yeah.
And so I remember you saying that, prior to meeting, you had a couple friends that had these sort of premonitions that you were going to meet him. So I think that's a really cool part of your story. So tell us a little bit about what these premonitions were.
A few years before when I was met him, and I was really struggling with dating and relationships, I had somebody at the art center ask me, "Are you seeing anybody?" And I said, "No, I'm not seeing anyone right now." And he said, "Ah, I have a feeling you're going to meet somebody at a place like this." And
Hmm.
that's the exact same place that I met him at. And then I had a friend at church who had a dream about me. He called me up and said, "I had this dream that you were standing in front of the courthouse wearing a vintage dress and you were getting married, and I don't know who the guy is." Now I can
Hmm.
see the vintage dress. That's definitely my style. But I wondered, why would I be standing in front of the courthouse? And who is this guy?
Well, I guess we'll get into the
Yeah.
marriage part. We'll circle back around here. So,
Okay.
okay, so you met. His mom is at this open mic with him. He's at this open mic. You have mutual
Right.
friends. So, what was when you were introduced to him? What was your first sort of reaction to him?
I don't remember meeting him really that much that night. I must have said hello to him. I mean,
Uh
definitely
huh.
if we were being introduced, but I don't remember very much of him that first night.
Yeah, but he remembers you. He remembers that red
He
dress.
remembered me. He did.
Okay. So, through the course of, I remember you saying through the course of the summer, you started
Mhm.
hanging out as part of this art center group.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about that, how this sort of, how you started to recognize who he was and realize who he was. And talk to me a little bit about how sort of the friendship developed and how the friendship turned to romance.
Right. Well, he would come about once a month to the art center, and we got to know each other. And I had no idea that he was that interested in me, but other people knew that. And he was asking about me. And how I
Mhm.
found that out was we would go hang out sometimes afterwards and have coffee and desserts or other kind of food at a local restaurant. And I can remember that night that he came to hang out, somebody took a picture, but there was these frownies. It was this brownie that
Oh.
it had like a frowny face, a frown on it. And people would have these masks if somebody got one. So the waitress gave us all these masks. So we
Yeah.
had all these masks with these frowns, yeah, that we were wearing. And I had that picture, but I can remember he sat down beside me, and I still didn't know him that well. Didn't know if he liked me. He was nice, but I didn't know if he liked me or not.
Hmm.
And I can remember I had a friend that's like a big brother, and he was joking around. "Oh, hey, you can be with them. Hey, why don't you be with this guy?"
Yeah.
And I can remember another friend, one of my really close friends, said to him, "If you do anything to come between those two," and I can
Hmm.
remember I thought, wow, this guy does like me. Okay, so he's sending out these signs. Everybody around, though, could see if I turned my head one way, he was turning his head in that direction.
Hmm.
And that was a really nice summer to get to know each other.
So basically, he wasn't just coming for the open mic, he was also coming for you. He had a
Yes.
little crush. Okay. So when did the light turn on for you? When did you start seeing him and, realize that, hey, there could be something more here. This could be the person I've been asking for.
It had to be Labor Day weekend because he came to the art center. And I remember he sang a song about a girl that got away because he is very shy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my other friends said, "Oh, you better not let the next one get away." And he sat down beside me and said, "I won't." And
Ooh.
and that's when he said, "Can I email you sometime?" So I gave him my school email. And I can remember he left for that evening, and I thought, "Oh, he's not going to email me. I'm probably not going to hear
Mm-hmm.
from him because, yeah, that's happened before." And when I came back from school on a Tuesday, that email was in there. And we emailed each other back and forth during that time period. And right before Thanksgiving, he was still in Philadelphia until right around Thanksgiving, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to be coming home around Thanksgiving. Are you going to be at the Arts Center? Are they still having open mic that right
Mm-hmm.
before Thanksgiving or right after?" I said, "Yeah, we're still having open mic." I checked with my friends, and he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to stop over." And it was during that time that he sat down beside me. I think he said, "Are you going to be around? I'm going to email you this weekend." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay." Well, it turns out I had two email addresses. I had a personal and then I had my school one. And I didn't check it that weekend. I don't know why I didn't check it. When I finally did check that, he was saying, "Hey, let me know if you want to go out and see a movie or go out to dinner." And he
Mm-hmm.
was home, and there was his phone number. And I remember reading this out loud to my mom, and I said, "Should I call him?" She goes, "Absolutely, you should call him."
So
So
you almost fumbled this.
I almost did.
He reaches out, like
Yeah.
asks you out, and then basically he's already back in Philadelphia. Now, what is the time difference?
I think it's like a 5 hour drive, 6 hour drive.
So when he's home for Thanksgiving and he's going back 5 hours away, that's not so easy to get together.
Yeah, it wasn't so easy. So I called him
Yeah.
and I said, "I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Hey, that's okay. I am back home and everything." But he was like, "I am coming home for Christmas. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to go out on a date when I come home for Christmas?" And I said, "Yeah." So we agreed, and I got it, we called each other. We talked a lot before that too. Still emailed each other. And it was December 23rd that we had our first date. And this is also a funny part of the story too. With our first date, there was another sign that was pointing us in the right direction. I went to church that morning, and I went out for coffee with some friends at a local coffee shop. And while I was out with friends, he stopped in the coffee shop that morning
Oh, wow.
before our date. And I was like, "Oh, hey." And we talked for a few minutes, and they all thought it was
Yeah.
cute. And he's like, "Okay, well, see you later then." And then he called me, and he was thinking, "Wow, we both have the same interests. We like going to the same
Yeah.
places." And we went out that night for dinner, and the rest just, yeah, was history from that point. We knew we wanted to be together.
So he met you during the summer. He continued to come
Hmm.
to those open mics to see you. And
Yeah.
then he went back to school 5 hours away, still continued to think about you enough to come home at Thanksgiving and still try to see you.
Yep.
Then after you didn't call him when he was in town, then he waits
Yeah.
three more weeks to see you when he's
Yep.
back again. So you in that red dress made quite the impression on him.
It did. Yep.
So you both were in school at this point, 5 hours away. So you did the long distance thing for a while? Or
Right.
okay.
He wasn't in school. He was working. He got
Okay.
another job at that point too. And I
Okay.
was in school. Now,
Yeah.
he did end up going back to where I went to school at after I graduated, and life did bring him back here after
Hmm.
about a year.
Okay. So
Yep.
long distance for a year and then he moved
Mm-hmm.
back. So how long did you date and everything before ending up getting married?
We dated about 7 years before we got married. So we
Okay.
had some time to get to know each other way before that, too. And there were some other things that did happen during that time. I mean, I graduated, I got a job, and he also went back to school. He got an apartment at one point,
Mm.
and during that time too, the apartment caught on fire. So we
Oh,
had that
wow.
time. Yeah, and we did end up moving in together for a few years with that, and then his dad had cancer during that time, and we
Mm-hmm.
originally were going to have an engagement, but we pushed it back a year because
Mm-hmm.
his dad was going through treatments and we wanted to be really focused on that.
Yeah.
But then his mom passed I think about a year or two after we got married.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a lot that was going on during that time and looking back on it, it was hard, I think, when we pushed that engagement back, but
Mm-hmm.
it was the right decision for us. Both of his parents were there, and just being able to have them in, relatively good health at that point, that made a difference.
Well, the wedding, so
Hmm.
to circle back to what we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier, so you ended up getting married in front of this courthouse in the vintage dress. So, the premonition came true. So,
right.
yeah. So, talk to me a little bit about that part of it.
Well, we actually had a reception at the Arts Center.
Okay.
We took a little walk with the photographer to this little park that overlooks the courthouse. And I was standing in front of there with with my husband, and I didn't realize that until we got the pictures back that was the dream that a friend of mine had. There I
Mm-hmm.
am standing with that vintage wedding dress on, and
Yeah.
there's the courthouse, and there's my husband. Our wedding itself was another thing that was a dream of mine too. I always wanted to get married in this person's backyard, and she had a rental.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived in
Mm-hmm.
that house for a couple of years. And I told her I would love to get married in your back in our backyard. So that's where we got married at, in our garden, in her
Mm-hmm.
garden, in that backyard. And that dream came true as well. And I love butterflies, and we had a butterfly release too. And there was just so many little
Oh,
touches with that wedding.
it's lovely.
Another one that just came to me was I had my colors were pink and black, and I always loved gardening. My grandfather was a gardener, and we peonies were the wedding flowers. And we had a starter pack for my grandpa, and they take about 2 years to be
Mm-hmm.
able to fully bloom. So when we
Mm-hmm.
definitely had that engagement that we knew, okay, in 2 years we're going to have this, it was pushed back a year. We started to plant them. And for the longest time, nothing happened. We got like some leaves, and then there was this little bud that came out, this little bud, and it just stood there. And some of the other ladies in the family were bringing in peonies from their gardens that were part of my grandpa's, and they
Mm-hmm.
were going to bring that in for our decoration, so we'd have and for the bouquet. But it was just that little bud in the backyard where we're having the wedding. And at the rehearsal dinner, I was sitting out on the back porch after the dinner, ready to go out to the movies with some friends. All of us were going out in our wedding party. And I look over, and that bud wasn't a bud anymore. There was just one bright pink flower that bloomed that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
after the wedding, it completely shut.
Wow. So that is very symbolic if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, how beautiful. Maybe that was, I don't know if your grandfather still alive at that point or had he passed on?
He passed.
So, I mean, maybe that was like his presence almost in a way, making itself known.
Yes,
Like, I'm going to show up for one day and be here and be present. So, oh, that's
exactly.
special. Yeah, I love that. So in the year since, talk to me about your relationship and the things that you've learned and sort of, what your secrets to success are in this marriage and this like long-term love.
I mean, some of the things that we've done together is we've gone on a lot of trips together. In our marriage, we love to be able to do that. We've also have purchased a home together. That was our own house, and we've been
Mm-hmm.
in there for a number of years now. So that has been really significant, which we love having that. And I think the secret to being in a long term love is we're each other's best friend. So
Oh.
we love to spend time together. We have similar interests, not all the same, but a lot of the things. We both love to read. We both love to be able to travel to new places. And he has been the one that has maybe taken me places that I haven't gone to.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, my family didn't have a whole lot of money, so we didn't always travel to many places. And I can remember we would, with my friends, we would go to New York City, but I mean, that was our trip that we would do, and it was
Yeah.
fun. But he's the one now we talk about, oh, well, have we ever been to Chicago? Well, okay, well, that was
Mm-hmm.
my first flight. What about like Washington, D.C.? I mean, we just different places. We've gone to Virginia. We just places that I may have not have gone with
Mm-hmm.
or haven't been there for a long time. Now we get to share that. So whenever we go to to visit a new town or a new city or any place, we'll think I'll usually make the big list because I love to do things. Then he'll pick maybe one or two things that off of the list
Mm-hmm.
to do. I'm sort of the over planner and the overpacker,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's just having that friendship together and really wanting to be together and working things out as they come along because it's not always easy and
Right.
sometimes it is that hard work that you got to put into it to make it work and to be open and honest with each other. I think is also really key.
Absolutely. I love that he sort of inspired you to think beyond your frame of reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe going to some of these places seemed like that was just a pipe dream for you until
Yep.
you met him. But then on your side, you're like building out the itineraries. You're making,
Uh-huh.
he's got the dream and sort of helping you see this vision, but then you're putting forth the logistics of actually what you're going to do and everything. I think that's a testament to partnership for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. What are your favorite things about him and about, your relationship?
I think some of the favorite things I love about him is that he's a good listener. That's always a real thing that I love. He's more the quiet one, but he listens a lot to me. I love the fact that he also encourages me too, and
Mhm.
that he's my favorite editor. He will read my stories, or and he'll encourage me. I can give him some of those ideas that I have, like, oh, well, maybe I want to submit to this place, and he's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Or he'll share things like, oh, did you ever think about maybe going here? And we'll talk like about speaking engagements and things.
Mhm.
And he is fine with driving me places. That
Mhm.
he loves to take me places. He goes, I like driving, and he's okay with the
Yeah.
fact that I don't drive.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key as well. And he's just my best friend and my rock.
I love that. I love that. I always say that, the right partner is the one that helps you be a better version of yourself, that you
Yep.
are the best version of yourself when you're with them and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. So you fill in each other's gaps. You help, each other see um I don't know, the potential and the
Right.
strengths that you have and leverage those strengths. For me personally, I'm someone that is I have a lot of ideas. I have a
Right.
lot of ideas, a lot of passions, but I tend to date people that are really structured because I lack the follow through. I need somebody that really kind of encourages
Mm-hmm.
me to have that discipline every single day
Right.
to really see these things through. And so I think that's awesome. And I do love the fact that you are best friends. I think that is such a an important part to a long-term relationship. Absolutely. So I know when we talked originally, you'd mentioned that there were other synergies and other sort of things that happened in the that you realized
Yes.
later, that were sort of misconnections along the way. So I'd love to sort of hear a couple of those examples about the times that you could have met and didn't realize it till much later.
I remember I was hanging out at his house and I saw there was a program. It was for a poetry reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember I said, "Wait a minute, where did you get this?" And he's like, my name wasn't in the program, but I read a poem that day. And he goes, "Well, don't you remember me?" He goes, "I was the guy that was spilling coffee everywhere." He was there with his ex and they had a fight that day and he spilled coffee everywhere. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't even remember any guy there that
Yeah.
was spilling coffee. And then there was another time that I don't, he doesn't remember me and I don't really remember him, but we had a writing group that would meet at this bookstore
Mm-hmm.
and with our friends. And one of my friends goes, "You don't remember meeting him that day at the writing group?" And think, I think I remember somebody that was there, but it's just really fuzzy. For some reason, it was like I was
Mm-hmm.
blind to him, and we
Mm-hmm.
might have been at the same place at that time. I mean, I don't recall that. But she was like, "You mean you don't remember him?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
Well, I guess it took that red dress for
Yeah,
for him to remember you and put forth that
right.
effort to keep showing up. So you're
Yeah,
like, oh, this guy, yeah, now I know him. um,
right.
yeah. Well, did he when you saw that program and he told you he was the one that spilled all the coffee? Did he remember you reading your poem?
Nope, not at all. Did not remember
Wow.
me reading my poem.
That's crazy. That's so funny. Wow. I mean, I think it just really is again a testament to timing.
Yeah,
How you can be in the same place with the person that becomes your everything and not even have them on your radar. Like
exactly.
it's the right time and the universe sent him apparently when it was the right time for the two of you to meet. But I also what I love about your story is, with what I do with my podcast, I always encourage people to follow their passions,
Hmm.
and not to be out there necessarily. I mean, you can be on the apps and searching for, love in all the traditional ways, but I think there's something really special to follow the things that make you happy and make you shine, and then meet someone along the way that, hey, they have the same interests, the same
Yeah,
passions. We're just aligned in this way,
exactly. I mean, that is the key thing is, yes, you can use apps, but I would probably say meet somebody. My advice, though, would be to go out and volunteer at something you love to do or get involved with an activity that you love that's going to attract the people that you want to meet. And even if you don't
hmm
meet somebody at that activity, you might meet somebody that knows another person that might be single, and they might invite you to a party or they might invite you to another event. And you get a chance to know somebody because you're widening your circle. And I think it's that being
100%.
content. I think I went on I went on a singles mixer once and that did not work out. There was nobody there that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think I had a bad date from the internet. So I'm definitely probably that didn't
Yeah.
work for me. But I think when you're not only is it just meeting people when you do those activities, but I think when you're involved in a project you love or something that you're passionate about, you're going to be happy. And it's not something that may happen right away, but that person gets to see you for who you are and you're happy and you're content and you're not worried necessarily about meeting somebody. Yeah, it's on the back burner. Oh, am I ever going to meet somebody? But you're getting that happiness with your own life and you're putting all that positive energy into something. And that just attracts people to you.
I love that. I think that's such great advice. And, I also think investing in yourself and
Mm-hmm.
becoming the best version of yourself,
Yep.
like that's
Mm-hmm.
up leveling up anyway, And so
Yeah.
anyone that you're with is going to appreciate, the right person is going to appreciate you leveling up and like investing in yourself. It makes you a better partner, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I saw this thing on Instagram a couple weeks ago that I thought was so funny and I loved it. It was, I can't remember exactly, so bear with me, but it was this woman who was, trying to find a person, trying to find a partner. And she's like, these are all the things that I've done to find a partner. And she's like, I joined fantasy football thinking I'd meet these guys and play fantasy football. It was a team of all women. I took up golf. Everyone on my golf team was a woman. And she did all of these things. And she's like, after the fact, she's like, I got really good at golf. I won my fantasy football, like all of these things that she tried. And she's like, and then I met my person through a friend. She's like, but through the course of all of this, I found these great friends. I learned all these new skills. I picked up new hobbies. I got in shape. Like I joined a gym. Like all of these were not for naught. That's not how I met my person. All of these like attempts to meet my person where guys were, that's not how I met my person at all. I met other women that way. But I met my person, through friends, like organically, I don't know. I thought that was a really cute anecdote. I was like, oh yeah, that's the way it usually works out.
Right, because it happens naturally that you meet somebody, so there's no someone's not interested in it just because they want to meet somebody, but you get to meet someone that you like, and you get to invest in yourself and become the best version of yourself possible. And another thing was, I can remember thinking to myself, I can be happy being single. I can definitely be someone, of course, I always wanted to meet somebody, but I had a lot of good things going on in my life. I was in school, I had friends, I was doing a lot with that. And I could have been content with that as well. And I remember a really wise friend of mine who told me when I was really struggling with somebody in a relationship, and she said, that person is not designed to, that person is designed to add to your life, not to take things away from it.
Smart friend.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, to your point with that, I am single and I am very happy single right now.
Yep.
I woke up yesterday and I remember just being like, this time is fleeting. Like, I know that this is probably not going to be my life forever, where I have this freedom to do whatever I want to do and to watch whatever I want to watch and eat whatever I want to eat and spend my day the way that it is. So I'm going to delight in it. I'm going to romanticize the heck out of it and enjoy it because it may not be forever. And like a gift to really kind of, I don't know, have that independence and that freedom in the moment is a gift. And then, when it is the right person, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice when you open your world up to them. And so, I know in the past I have certainly sort of lost myself in relationships. I think a lot of people have where, I just wasn't the right person, dimmed my shine maybe a little bit. And now it's very similar to you. I am not interested unless it is the right person. I just am happy living my life. And when he plops in, then that will be great. I'm really excited for that day, but I'm going to enjoy my time with my friends and doing the things that I love to do in the meantime. So
exactly. That is the best thing to do.
So, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing about your story and your Kismet connections. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to lift up your platform and share with people how they can find your books or your writings and the other things that you've been involved with as well.
Sure. You can find me at my blog, Michelle's Mission, at www.michellesmission.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. You guys, if you want to check out more of Michelle's writings, go there. She's got a lot of great wisdom to share, obviously. So thank you again, Michelle. And I hope you have a great rest of your President's Day holiday.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thank you for tuning into Kismet. Please like and subscribe so we can get these stories out for the people who really need to hear them. If you have your own true love story that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. Please send it to me at kismetstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, be bold, be kind, and be open to everyday magic. Your person may be just down the street, or they may see you on the street and know that you're the one they're destined to meet.